and he is here now. Brandon, welcome to the show.
What's up, guys? How you guys doing?
We're doing great. How are you?
Doing great.
Fantastic.
Fantastic Thursday afternoon.
That's great. Yeah, thanks for taking the time to be with us. For those who don't know, could you just give like a little intro on yourself and the company?
Yeah, sure. Quick intro on myself. Mechanical engineering background. I went to the U.S. Naval Academy, became an engineering officer on board a ship, deployed to the Arabian Gulf on that ship, then laterally transferred, became a U.S. Navy SEAL, and did 3 deployments, 2 to Afghanistan, 1 to the Pacific. Got out in 2015 while concurrently going to business school, started Shield AI with my brother, and have been at it for the past 10 years. That's background on myself. Quick background on Shield AI. Mission is to protect service members and civilians with artificially intelligent systems. In pursuit of this mission, we've been building the world's best AI pilot. Easiest way to think about an AI pilot is self-driving technology for unmanned systems that enables them to maneuver without GPS, without communications. It enables them to maneuver without a remote pilot. It enables the concept of swarming or teaming. Notable milestones along this journey: we're the first company in the world to put an AI pilot on the battlefield in 2018. We put it on a quadcopter. It would go inside buildings ahead of special operations forces. That was deployed to Iraq, Afghanistan, Syria. Most recently used in Israel to rescue hostages, which was really cool. Have the text messages back from Israeli counterterrorism forces from October 2023. And then also, we were the first company in the world to put an AI pilot on an F-16 and fly an F-16 autonomously. We won the DARPA Alpha dogfight in 2020. In 2022, did the first F-16 flights. In 2023, we did the first ever AI piloted F-16 versus human piloted F-16 dogfight. And then in 2024, the Secretary of the Air Force flew our AI piloted F-16. We were finalists for the Collier Trophy, which is given to the greatest achievement in aeronautics or astronautics. Wright brothers won it. Chuck Yeager won it for breaking the sound barrier. We were finalists and lost to some NASA asteroid mining thing. Cool, whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who's paying attention?
Yeah.
I mean, it sounds like an overnight success, the type of overnight successes we like to highlight on the show.
But overnight success.
That's always the way it goes. All the greatest overnight successes take decades, in my experience.
Yeah. I mean, it's a 17-year overnight success if you count the naval experience.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. What's it like going, having your first real startup, become a multi-billion-dollar company? Most founders have the benefit of, starting a couple things that don't maybe, little ideas or things like that. Is it, going back 10 years ago at this point, I guess 9 years and 11 months, did you feel like you knew what to do from the beginning, or you had good people around you? I'm curious,
One is you don't know what to do in the beginning. You want to surround yourself with great people just to be directly responsive to those aspects of the question. I don't think too much about that aspect of the aspect of, it's now a multi-billion-dollar company, principally because it's a knife fight every day. It's a lot of pain and suffering. I tell everybody that, when Jensen Huang from NVIDIA talks about pain or suffering, when Elon talks about the pain and suffering that goes into building these types of businesses, it's absolutely true. And so there's a massive amount of stress. There's a massive number of times that you fail. There's a massive amount of embarrassment, when you fail in front of customers or when you disappoint customers along that 10-year journey. And so, I think one of the reasons I think we've been successful is the resiliency, the ability to keep moving forward, the ability to pick yourself up once you get brought to your knees, like when you get gut punched, and it certainly happens. And so, in that sense, I think we had that when we started. I experienced that in the SEAL team, so I was, grateful to have those experiences and basically used to the life of suffering. So, that's paid off well over the past several years.
Can you talk a little bit about the path to full autonomy for fighter planes? We saw this with chess, where Deep Blue beat Garry Kasparov, but for a long time, a combination of AI and human would outperform. They called it like Centaur chess.
Yep.
Some people say we're in the Centaur era of AI image generation, or a lot of people use ChatGPT, but then they're editing it themselves, and it's not a pure AI creation. It's not pure human. Are we in the Centaur era of air supremacy right now, or are we getting there? And how long do you think it'll last?
I think at this stage in the game, autonomy is at superhuman levels of performance, and so yes, people will always augment machines and make those machines better and more useful to the people, but the level of involvement in doing that is becoming minuscule in terms of like what's required. And so, look, that journey, right, for us starting to fly an F-16, unfortunately, in 2015, when you're a 3-person founding team with zero money, zero track record, they don't hand you the keys to the F-16 right away, and so we had to earn our right, our path, our right to fly that aircraft. It took a long time, and we stepped our way to get there. Right, it took 7 years before first flight to F-16, proving it on a quadcopter, proving it in simulation with the DARPA Alpha dogfights, proving it on our VBAT aircraft, and eventually, more and more people now are giving us quote unquote the keys to their jet aircraft.
Yeah.
But it's I'll just say autonomy is a really, really hard problem. It's also a really, valuable thing to create. And we're at the stage now where, I'm a big believer. I think the entire future is going to be an autonomous future. I agree with Elon Musk when he says there's going to be, millions of autonomous systems in the world. His goal is to put 1 billion humanoid robots on the planet. We'll have millions of self-driving cars. I believe there will be millions of self-driving aircraft and millions of other autonomous systems in Shield AI. Our objective over the next 10, 20 years is really to enable that future.
Can you talk about the developer platform that you guys were building? I know that's part of that was part of the announcement that you did with the new round at the beginning of last month.
We asked ourselves the question, how do we put 1 million AI pilots into customers' hands in the next 10 years? We spent 10 years building the world's best AI pilot. For all the reasons I mentioned, I feel like we've checked that box. And then it became, how do we put 1 million AI pilots into customers' hands? And the answer was we have to supercharge the aerospace and defense market. We have to supercharge the autonomy industry. And we took a page out of Amazon Web Services playbook, right? If you're unfamiliar, Amazon Web Services, they had basically built a great internal product. Team said, hey, what if we brought this to market? What if we commercialized it? Would it be valuable for other people? All this infrastructure, these data pipelines, these developer tools, and obviously the rest is history. Massively valuable for Amazon Web Services, most profitable business unit they have. And so we basically said, let's package up all of our developer tools, our infrastructure, our pipelines, and enable the rest of the defense industrial base, and again, the rest of the autonomy industry and those interested in autonomy to actually develop, evaluate, test, and deploy autonomy. And so spent, the better half of last year, or more than last year, really focused on building that product and rolling it out to beta customers. And we're going to general availability here in May for that product. And the response has been game changing. It essentially enables you to reduce the number of engineers, reduce the time to actually build autonomy and take it to market by 10 to 50x. So it's just massive improvements. We're flying first flights on a jet aircraft, 2 engineers in 6 weeks, right?
Wow.
If we had these tools back in 2015, they may have let us fly the F-16 right out of the gate.
That's
so
awesome.
It's incredibly powerful.
Yeah. Speaking of the F-16, what is actually the hardest part of flying an F-16 in a military scenario. I can imagine that dogfighting feels like the most intense, it's the most high stakes, but then it also sounds really hard just to fly an F-16 like into the theater for 6 hours straight. You get tired. And then landing on an aircraft carrier in like stormy seas, that seems really hard. Are you trying to do it all? Is this the idea that like self-driving, you kind of turn it on when you're on the highway? What's the most difficult?
So just to be clear, the work on the F-16 was to burn down the technical risk for this next generation of uncrewed fighter jets.
Yeah.
But in terms of like what the most technically hard, like the technically hardest part about it is actually around safety and certifiability, right?
Sure.
The U.S. Air Force, the U.S. Navy, they're not putting up 20,000-pound aircraft in the air, right? That are just going like not perform, right? Especially in in the dogfighting scenario when we have relative closure rates between two 15,000-pound aircraft going 1,200 miles per hour closure rates within call it 50 meters of each other. You have to be able to say, I can guarantee the safety aspect of what's going on here. Yes, there's risk, but this is how it's been burnt down. This is why it's safe. This is why we believe it's going to do or why we know it's going to do exactly what it said it's going to do. So as people think about, and I think that's where Shield AI has really shown is our understanding of not just like the autonomy aspect, but that intersection of autonomy, jet aircraft, safety, reliability, certifiability. That's where Shield AI stands out.
Do we need
and spent a long time working on.
Do we need a new Top Gun movie where the protagonist is a software developer?
It probably wouldn't be as entertaining as as Maverick 2, but we're open, or as Maverick, but I'm open to it. Yeah,
I'm open to it. I'd love.
How do you think about M&A going forward? I think you guys have made a couple, or at least a couple acquisitions to date. There's now a ton of new investment, but you guys have spent 10 years winning customer trust, winning, contracts, et cetera. And I imagine there's going to be some companies that develop, cool technologies or have great talent, but don't quite reach where you guys are. How do you look at that opportunity going forward?
Certainly, we've built an acquisition muscle and acquisition arm in our company, and we are constantly looking at opportunities. And there's just a very, very it has to go through a lot of different wickets for us to say let's get serious about something, right? Ideally, it's strategic because it takes up a lot of executive time if it's truly going to move the needle for the business. At the same time, you'll see us do smaller acquisitions. We'll announce like a smaller IP type acquisition here in the next several weeks. And so there's that range, but in the ideal world, strategic, needle moving for the business, gives us better market access, enables us to build a better product, one that's aligned with our strategy roadmap, with our product roadmap, with our vision for the business. And so we're always on the lookout for new companies.
It's fantastic. Last question, or we good?
No, that was it. I mean, come back on when you have whenever you have news.
This was fantastic. I mean, such a fascinating business and like such a entertaining and just dramatic in so many ways. I mean, we could go way deeper, but thanks so much for taking the time to talk to us. Really fun conversation.
Thank you, Brandon.
Thanks, guys. I'll see you.
We'll talk to you soon. Bye.